some insight on how everything got started. So, how did you first hear about SuckerPunch Entertainment?
I think I know it was called SuckerPunch Ent.
Okay.
It was. I had met Brian. Went up there to watch a show.
Meet and greet.
It was a meet and greet, and I went up to and it was I think to watch a show in Virginia, and then I just got to meet him, and I watched the way he just, the way he would advertise and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I need you. I go, I need you in this sport. He said, what? I go, I got to have you because just the way that he looked at things, the way that he, you could tell he was like in marketing. You could tell, it was different than the old school in the sport, where there wasn't anybody like that. So I said, man, I go, you got to do this. I need you, And there's all these things I want to do outside of the sport, and there's all these companies I want to get at and stuff like that, and and so he was outside of the sport, and he had done commercials, and he is all that kind of stuff, and I just knew that we need to have someone like that in the sport. So he and I got to talking. I just asked him, I'm like, hey, you want to jump in? And and that's kind of how we got started.
Gotcha. Cool. And and could you go into a little bit more, like what separated his style from the style of the other, managers and agents that you had been working with your time in the sport?
Well, I think the biggest thing was there wasn't that many, and it was, there was the local, the gear that was already in the sport, you know what I mean? There were things that came along with the sport, tap out and stuff like that, warrior wear. It's just, it's been so long, but, there was a lot of brands that were part of the sport. But I'd always thought, there's some things that I was real big into. I love video games. I love, gaming, all these things that you do outside of fighting that, the walk down to the cage was one thing. And then you fight real quick, but there's all these, it's like finding things that you love to do, your hobbies and stuff like that. Then you could talk about that all day long. You could talk about, playing video games or, fishing or hunting or whatever you love to do. If you started getting those people into this sport, then you could go ahead and, start getting them, there's, again, there'd be more of a lasting effect with the people that you're sponsored by. Gotcha. And I just knew Brian, he was just real good at it. I could just tell he was different. And he came from the world of, he didn't come from the world of MMA, he came from the world of advertising. And, social networking was just starting to come up, but he came from that world, and that's what I wanted. I wanted somebody that knew that world and tried to introduce them into MMA rather than be part of MMA and try to introduce them into the marketing world, going out and finding, I knew we were going to be breaking barriers. We're going to be going out there and doing things that hadn't been done yet, and like I said, he got the one thing, the movie, Call of Duty, Alienware, just things that you had it was never even a part of the sport. I don't even know if they knew about the sport or liked the sport back then,
Gotcha. Did it feel like a risk at all? Like, it sounded like you were established at that time, and did it feel like a risk at all, going with kind of a newer face on the scene?
No, for me, because again, there was, there was so many things that weren't out there. Again, I was a gigantic gamer, and to go out after the gaming world and to go out after, to get the sponsorships from the video games, get sponsored from computers. I love computers. Get sponsored by the things that you love doing. They weren't in the sport yet. The sport was just coming along. Like I said, and there was a few, you can wear these shorts and you can wear, these shirts, but really to find things that, the biggest thing that Brian's done really well is he found things from outside the sport and brought them in, and what made it real cool was they were things that I loved doing. If I was a hunter, go out after all that. If I was a fisherman, if I loved cooking or whatever it was, but I loved gaming and I loved computers and video games, and we went out and we tried to bring them into the world of MMA. So Brian was out there, front running with that. There wasn't too many people, like I'm going to say there was none, but I'm just saying with me, when I met Brian, that, man, marriage, the marriage right there,
Gotcha. And maybe, you can jump in on this too, Brian, but like, was it a hard sell to Call of Duty or like these kind of non-traditional sponsors to come in?
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Alienware's, I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're a gaming laptop company, but they're owned by Dell.
Okay.
Massive company, but it was what, Jens, a year of cold calling and getting rejected? I mean, we didn't even have them on your first fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were getting rejected. It was just staying persistent, trying to talk to the right people and the director of marketing over there, brand director, and finally after a year, they just were like, all right, I was like, guys, just give me something to show you that this sport is relevant. And they gave me a little slush fund budget and said, here, try this out. And it was nothing. And I called all the guys. Jens kind of led the pack of it at the time, and just put it out there and maximized every dollar, stretched every dollar to get them as much exposure as possible. And it
cool.
Well, it actually failed first, right, Jens? After that, they were like, oh, they didn't really pay attention to it because they didn't really put any real marketing dollars to it. It was just kind of like slush fund money. And they were like, thanks for trying, but you had your shot, but we're good now.
Okay.
I was like, damn, I thought we landed a whale. And it went away, and then a couple of months later, one of my other clients, a female fighter named Felice Herrig, who's just huge on social media,
Gotcha.
was tweeting some stuff, and she's always kind of this fun, bantery girl, and does a lot of she's flirtatious, and she's just got a spunky attitude, and the Alienware Twitter account tweeted back at her, and she replied back instantly like, oh, I can't talk to you anymore, I have a new boyfriend, his name is Mac. So Apple, just kind of like as a jab, she was just being a smartass.
Yeah.
And within 15 minutes, I had a direct message on my Twitter, a voicemail, and an email saying, call us back. We just totally saw our social media channels light up with the interaction that we had. And that fluky little tweet caused Alienware to come back in for well into the seven figures. And that's why their logos was in the middle of the octagon in the UFC and all that stuff. So the freakonomics about it all and how it all came into play it's a pretty cool story.
Cool. You said well over seven figures?
They were spending. I don't know if they want me to tell that. I don't want to say the number, but it was in the millions. The annual budget would be.
Gotcha.
That way.
Cool. All right. I think that's all I had, gents. Yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the time.
No, of course. Like I said, last note is, again, I think you noticed it when you just talked to him, is, it's just that was that fresh face and somebody that had the foresight to go out there and see, more than just the fighter themselves, to see the brand that they could become or how they could help other brands by going out there and not just about the fight in the cage, not just about that walkout, but also the interviews, all the things that you do outside of the cage, that there was so much more that these people could tap into rather than just being on a pair of shorts or just being on a T-shirt when you walk out there. And he was the one that seen that, and that's, like I said, that's how everything took off with us.
Okay.
Don't make me cry, Jens.
All right,
Don't make me cry.
Stop right there.
Hey,
All right, guys.
Good luck with everything, man.
Thank you.
All right, man, I'll call you in a bit.
Better.
Thanks, man.